The other day, the Oscars released their nominations for the 2019 Oscars. With that, we have 5 films in the Best Animated Feature category. So we're going to rank these films from worst to best. Let's get started. Hey everybody, my name is Justin. I love to watch movies. If you guys love to watch movies too, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Today we're going to rank the 5 best animated feature films of 2019. The movies that were included in the nominations for the 2019 Oscars include Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse, WreckIt Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Mirai, Isle of Dogs, and The Incredibles 2. Also comment down below with your ranking. How would you rank these 5 films from worst to best? I've seen each one of these in theaters, and I do think each one is very deserving of its nomination. But with these ranking videos, we gotta rank them from worst to best. So let's start with number 5, WreckIt Ralph 2, Ralph Breaks the Internet. I think WreckIt Ralph 2 is a fine sequel to the WreckIt Ralph movie. I do prefer the first movie. This movie just feels a little bit scrambled at times. It's a really good relationship between Ralph and Vanellope. I do think they actually do grow that relationship a lot more in the second film. I love it. But once Ralph gets to the internet with Vanellope and they have to find the missing piece, there's so many things just happening all at once. Ralph has to earn money, and then in turn he has to earn likes and different things on the internet. Exploiting himself, he's doing these viral videos that will earn him money so he can buy this the steering wheel for Vanellope's game. And in turn, Vanellope is also with this racing game with Gal Gadot's character, and she wants to stay there and race because she has a lot of fun. It just felt like they were trying to do a little too much during this film, and it kind of just took away from the relationship between them two, which is super adorable, and I really like that relationship. But everything else in this film just took away from that. The visuals are great. It's an overall fun movie. I just had a problem with how it presented its story. Coming at number 4 is Mirai, and I'm super happy that this film got nominated. I love the director, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, The Boy and the Beast, and Mirai is another great film in his catalog. I do think it is a very beautiful film. It's kind of a short film. I do think that it's an interesting story. This little boy just got a little sister, and he's dealing with the fact that he's not the center of attention. So he goes into his middle courtyard of his house and stands by this tree, and he's able to see people from the past with his family, and maybe his grandpa, or people in the future like his little sister. I do think it's a very interesting story. I found myself very engaged in the story, and I was very curious where this movie was going to go. I love the animation. This movie is super adorable too, with the young kids in here. I wish it would have dived a little bit deeper into its themes, but I do think it's a very adorable film. It's very upbeat, very energetic film. The animation is beautiful, and the characters are presented very nicely. I'm super happy that Mirai was nominated. Coming at number 3 is Wes Anderson's Isle of Dogs. Isle of Dogs was a great movie. I love Wes Anderson. He is a great director, Moonrise Kingdom being my favorite of his. And Wes Anderson has done an animated movie like this before with the fantastic Mr. Fox, so this is not new to him. This movie it was really outstanding. I loved the dogs in here. The voice cast was perfect for each one of these dogs. And the world that he was building was it was grand. There was a lot of attention to detail, which I loved. Some of the minor characters were very upbeat and fun to watch, but when it came down to it, the thing I love most about Isle of Dogs is the dogs. The different kind of dogs, different voice acting. None of them really feel like the same. Each one kind of felt different compared to the other dog, and I love that about this movie. The relationship between this young boy who's looking for his dog and this other dog who's helping him, I think they built a really good relationship, and this dog that was helping the young boy realized things about himself. So I think this movie had great progress. It was developed really well, and I loved how this movie turned out. Coming in at number 2 is The Incredibles 2. Now this movie landed itself in the top 10 movies of my list last year, and it is a great sequel to the 2004, I believe 2004, Incredibles film directed by Brad Bird. It managed to, after all these years, bring back the characters and still make it seem like I watched them for the first time. It didn't rely on seeing what they've been doing all these years. It jumped right into where the first film left off. And if you watch them back to back, it really does feel like just one big movie. There's no awkward time, you know, doing some montages to get to know the characters. They just jumped right into the movie, and the characters still felt the same. And standouts in this movie is Jack Jack. Jack Jack was great in the first movie, but you really didn't get to see much of him. Now he is learning about his powers. He's being watched by Edna. It is so funny to watch, and he is a standout in this movie. Any scene that Jack Jack was in, I was laughing, I was enjoying it. The villain is a little bit weak. I really didn't care much for the villain. It seems lately like just big superhero films have weak villains, and The Incredibles 2 is no different. But this movie is perfect for its family. The dynamics is great. The characters are still fun to watch. It's a really fast-paced action movie. Jack Jack is funny in here. Great relationship with Edna. Who would have thought that would have turned out so great? But overall, The Incredibles was such a sweet film. It managed to bring back that charm from the first movie into the second movie and didn't miss a beat. I loved The Incredibles 2. It's such a fun film. And the last movie that is left is Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. This is my favorite movie out of all 5 of these movies that was nominated for Best Animated Feature Film. Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse was a very surprising film. I was on board with it since the first trailer. I thought it was a very different kind of animated movie with its style. But I was wondering how this movie was going to play out, even though I really wanted to see it, and I thought it was terrific. Having these different Spider-Man and Spider-Woman characters in here, it was so cool to see them from different universes, and Miles Morales had everything I loved about the Spider-Man character. I want to know more about this guy. I want to see future films with him in it. Peter B. Parker from the different universe was really funny, voiced really well by Jake Johnson. Took everything that you loved about Spider-Man and just kind of flipped it on his head and took him, and you really didn't know who he was. And I loved watching the journey of him trying to get back to being that Spider-Man that he was previously, and Miles Morales trying to become Spider-Man as well. Then you had different characters like Penny Parker and Gwen Stacy, and I love each one of these characters. And the villain is fun too. Kingpin's in here, Green Goblin. There's so many different characters in different versions, which I thought was really cool. So there's many things that I appreciate about this film. The character development, the animation, the action was great. It's very funny. Surprisingly, it's very emotional towards the end as well. It took a lot of different things, a lot of different themes, a lot of different emotions, and kind of just put it together into one film, and each one of it worked. I was so surprised with the humor, the action, the emotions, but all played out to be one terrific Spider-Man movie. So there you guys have it, all 5 of the best animated feature films that were nominated for the Oscars, ranked worst to best. You can check out my favorite films from 2018 right over here. You might find some of these in that list. Stay tuned, I'll be ranking all 8 Best Picture nominations from worst to best after I see Vice and Green Book. You guys are the best as always. This is Just Watch Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.